while giving occasional talks about his work and writing newspaper articles to earn pocket money. His lifestyle seems to have been agreeable, and on his retirement, he and Gladys moved to the Isle of Man, a place they loved and which served as the setting for many of his stories. After 1952, his books ceased to be published in the US. Reading tastes there had changed, and more highly charged stories from newcomers such as Ross MacDonald and Patricia Highsmith had come into vogue. Compensation came from across the Channel, as Littlejohn found particular favour with French readers. The books were often retitled to include the detective's surname, rather in the fashion of the Maigret stories. Bellairs was published in other European countries, and also in Mexico and South America. He reckoned that of his readers, over 50% are old ladies who like murder and more murder, but jib at extreme violence on the part of the police. And he took care not to antagonise them. Settings mattered to him, and, like John Bude, another author whose books appear in the British Library's crime classic series, he made a virtue of writing mysteries, Death in High Provence is an example, based in appealing locations. R.F. Stewart rightly emphasises Bellairs' other strengths, namely humour and concise characterisation. The humour is of the quiet, wry variety. The characterisation is not by way of slow development, but in thumbnail sketches. We are given amusing little pen pictures of people whom Littlejohn meets in the course of his inquiries, and whom we suspect Bellairs of having actually met in the course of his life. Policemen, clerics and solicitors are among his favourites for poking fun at, but especially bank managers, on whom Bellairs was by definition an authority. In this novel, one of the key characters is a hapless bank manager who rejoices in the name George Frederick Handel Roper. The book was published during the swinging 60s, though, despite fleeting reference to teddy boys and pop singers, you might be forgiven for not guessing it from the text. P.D. James and Ruth Rendell had just arrived on the scene, and the nature of crime fiction in Britain was evolving, as it had done in the US. Even in 1964, Surfeit of Suspects must have seemed a little old-fashioned to many of the library users who constituted Bellairs' principal readership. But there is comfort and pleasure to be had in the familiar, and more than half a century after its original appearance, this novel remains an amiable read, light entertainment which gives us a glimpse of a long-vanished world, a world that was already vanishing even as Bellairs wrote about it. Martin Edwards. www.martinedwardsbooks.com. Chapter 1. Sky High. At 8 o'clock in the evening, on the 8th of November, there was a terrific explosion in Green Lane, Evingden. It smashed all the windows of 2 rows of terraced cottages in the vicinity, and the front of a corner shop completely collapsed and strewed sweets and provisions all over the pavement. When the startled tenants of the damaged houses rushed outside, they found the offices of the Excelsior Joinery Company reduced to a mass of rubble. It was some time before the bewildered occupants of Green Lane thought of sending for the police. They didn't quite realise what had happened. They were suffering from concussion, and it took them a little while to get over it. They thought of bombs, fireworks, gas mains, and gunpowder. Even those trained in civil defence had to shake off the nightmare and made a late start in functioning. Meanwhile, the wrecked building, illuminated by a broken gas main which had become ignited and spread a yellow hissing glow over the ruins, continued to disintegrate, shedding loose bricks, plaster and timber which soon started to burn. Someone telephoned for the fire brigade and the police, and only then did one of the lookers-on suddenly proclaim, in a shrill voice, that there was a body in the debris. 3 men, with more initiative and guts than the rest, rushed to recover it before the flames spread. Instead of returning with a single corpse, the rescuers